our consistency is what's going to actually,
kill us.
Yeah. I ain't getting no sleep, man.
No sleep at all, bruh. What? Like I told you last time, I'm way too young to be feeling this old.
Bro, I'm neglecting my responsibilities.
I got bags under my eyes. Like, yo, I work 2 jobs, bro. We both work 2 jobs.
Yeah, we both work 2 jobs.
Goodness gracious.
And then we got the podcast.
No, podcast is the 2nd job, right?
Bro, I feel like I got kids.
Who's the kids? Our audience.
Yeah.
Our community. We gotta take care of y'all. We gotta bathe y'all. Feed y'all. Good. Alhamdulillah, we are grateful for y'all.
Very much so. All right, let's
kick this thing off, bro.
Give me the countdown, bro.
Yes. 3 2 1 go.
What's going on, everybody? This is Jibril Salam.
Muhammad Hassan.
And you are listening to the Young and Muslim Podcast.
As-salaam Alaikum, everybody.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
Letting y'all know right off the back that this is not your average podcast.
Straight up.
It's probably going to last like 5 minutes.
If that.
If that. Right.
Somebody's like, yo, I just hopped in my whip. Well.
This is going to be a very short ride. So this episode is a update podcast.
Yeah.
We are going to be taking a break for a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And when we mean by a little bit, we mean that this episode will be coming out, and then next we have an episode coming out, and then we're releasing one on the following Sunday. Yeah, we just couldn't. Like we're dedicated to releasing every week. We had something very important
planned today. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so we can allude. Like, if you guys listen to this the most recent news that happened, the biggest news that happened recently was the cyclone Idai that hit Mozambique and Malawi and Zimbabwe. Yeah. Millions of people are affected by this, and there are even not even more, but there are thousands of people who are dead, and there's hundreds of thousands who are going to be displaced from their place of living. So keep those people in your prayers and your thoughts. We want to give more. Let's go into it. Let's go into it. Yeah. This is supposed to be like a break episode, but let's just do it, Mo.
You started it.
Yeah, let's just do it. God dang it. This is supposed to be 5 minutes. I lied.
Okay,
So, last week, there was a flood, and, dude, I gotta start the camera.
OMG.
Just take over.
OMG.
No, just keep going.
Can we still keep going? Yeah, man. The position for a new cameraman has officially opened up. And it's not a part-time position; it's a full-time position.
Guys, I apologize.
Yes,
we're starting out though.
Yes, you'll be a cameraman and a co-host.
If you are just tuning in, make sure you listen to the podcast because you guys missed like the first 3 minutes. It's actually very good.
So to kind of finish off Jibril's point, do want to go into what happened into 3 very poor nations in Africa that was affected by a crazy cyclone and floods and heavy winds. Over 1,000 individuals that have been, have passed away, and hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of individuals are going to be affected by this. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, grant those that passed away, the highest rank in Jannah, and those that have been displaced, provide them with ease, comfort, and a way to bounce back. Man, his resources it's not easy to get someone to do that. And think we also wanted to...
Nope, we're going to go into that real quick. All right.
Okay.
So, issue with that, right, is that our communities, Muslim communities, have been completely silent on that. All right. Now, granted, we're not supposed to take on all of the issues of the world, right? But when we see a natural disaster where hundreds of thousands, millions of people are being displaced and affected by such a natural disaster, and we don't rally up for that, it becomes an issue.
At the core of our people.
Yeah. Like, do we only care about Muslims?
Yeah.
Do we only care about, people that are in Western nations, quote unquote Western nations? Why? So let's go to the next topic, because what happened in Mali is even more significant and gets me even more riled up, because in Mali, if you guys didn't know, a couple of days ago, so today, if it's Wednesday, this happened Monday, Sunday, Monday time-ish, 150 plus people were killed in Fulani Muslims. Now, if you don't know who the Fulanis are, go to episode, was it 43 with Brother Amir Muhammad, and he speaks a little bit about the Fulanis. These people are the scholars. These people are some of the most brilliant people in Africa, right? This particular tribe in Mali, they were massacred in the hundreds. In the middle of the night, I believe it was that night, by by murderers who came in the middle of the night, and they burned houses down with people still in them. They killed women, they killed children, they killed everybody. Most of these people, if not all of them, are Muslim.
Yes.
Now, all of the social media activists and politicians and the big imams have been silent. I mean, ghost. And it's disturbing, because we want to not believe that it's a racist issue. We want to believe that it's not a case of them being black, but it's like when you line it up side by side by what happened in New Zealand, when you line that up, and again, this is not to compare in any way
at all
what happened in New Zealand,
because you can't.
Exactly. A life is a life, right? But it's like that same energy is nowhere to be found. That same, sympathy is not there whatsoever. And we're talking hundreds. The body count right now is 150. Yesterday, it was like 134. So it's rising.
And that's only documented. So who knows
exactly
what happened.
And on top of that, we're not even taking into account how many people are injured. There's almost 100 people injured out of this. Our community hasn't said squat. As a whole, is very sad that Egg Boy is getting more attention than this entire community of people who just got slaughtered.
And we're not saying what Egg Boy, what he did wasn't righteous. I mean, we appreciate everything that he did, but as soon as he did what he did, I mean, we give him his recognition, and then we move on to what? The people. The people that need the attention, the people that need the resources, the people that need the help.
Exactly. And this isn't even saying the people that were in Mali, because Egg Boy happened like a week or so ago.
That's what I'm saying.
It was taking, if you don't know who Egg Boy is, it's the guy, Will Connolly, who smashed the egg upside that racist politician, New Zealand politician's head, right? He said he was doing it because he didn't believe what the guy was saying, and, so on and so forth. He was looking out for the Muslim community. Thank you, Will. We really appreciate it. Now, where the issue is how much attention our community gave that and stayed on it.
That's the big thing,
And, while we're trying to remember the people who were affected and the people we lost, what was more important than Egg Boy? What was more important than that, right? Now, this is going on, 2 weeks after New Zealand, correct? Wow. It's going on 2 weeks. It's crazy. It can't fathom it, right? Mali happens. What happens in Mali, what happens to the Fulani people happens. And people are still talking about Egg Boy. Still trying to interview. Forget Egg Boy. People just got massacred. And I'm still seeing people, and it's not just people, it's these big platforms that have these audiences that are relying on them to let them know, what is actually happening in the world. If you started this trend of, I'm going to report on what is happening, I'm going to use my platform to talk about the atrocities that are happening to Muslims in the world and what's happening to our people, then not saying you need to stick to that, but you got to do the right thing and recognize, okay, that happened in New Zealand, but what happened in Mali is just as bad, and we also need to give our attention to that, because these people, these families, this entire community is gone. These people don't have a home to go to.
Everything got burned down. I mean, you can't, like you were saying, but you can't compare that. But what you can compare is the activity, right? The activity behind it. How many posts were, posted about what happened? How many people are talking about it? How many people are going up on live TV talking about it. I mean, everybody and their moms was on TV after what happened earlier, right? But now it's just like, it's crickets, you know. And we're looking around, and I'm sure people are gonna start picking it up because, you know, we're talking about it, other people are talking about it, and then they can be like, you know what? People are talking about it now. Now let's get on it. But it shouldn't be like that. They should be the first person to step up because those are the people on the front lines, you know?
Yeah.
And we appreciate all the work that they do,
Absolutely.
but we think that they should cover everything. Well, I don't want to say everything because it's a lot to take on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and this isn't to say like, yo, it's their responsibility to report everything and anything that happens, which that's not realistic.
No, at all.
But for the time that we're in right now, when there's a group of Muslims who just get like taken out in the hundreds, like you gotta say something. It's almost like what's going on in China with the internment camps. Like the fact that we aren't saying more about what's happening to that community, to these Muslims, is ridiculous.
And that's something that's going on consistently. It wasn't one day. This has been going on for years.
Exactly. But you know what? We live in a society. Not only are we numb to the news, you know what? I'm gonna get back to that point. But you know what was crazy is that when this news came out, I did not allow myself to be numb to it. I read through this article. I sat on it. I slept on it. I woke up and I was very like, it was weird, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't the same feeling of New Zealand, right? Because obviously there's a difference, right? Yeah. It hit home in a different way, but it was still like this sadness that like my heart was just heavy because I'm like, dude, like these are women and children and people. Forget that they're Muslim. They, like,
yeah, 1/3 of the individuals that were slaughtered were children. But the UN has just decided to step up. Took 48 hours.
No, bro. I'm reading right here. It says that in the death toll of women, children, and men are somewhere in the thousands. Somewhere in the thousands for displaced people. Over 600 deaths of women, children, and men, as well as thousands of displaced persons since March 2018. So in a year, that's how many people have been displaced just in this particular region. Right now, again, these are all Muslims.
That's in a village.
Right? That's in a village.
That's like somebody coming here to DC and just wiping 600 people out consistently for the past year.
Nobody really saying anything. Right? Yeah, now what's even more disturbing is that, you know, we don't even cover this for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's difficult to do. It's very hard to do. But the stereotype is that, oh, this is Africa and this happens all the time.
Yes.
You know? And we don't want to stay on like the bad news and things like that. The point that we're trying to make right now is that we're very selective about who we care about and what we care about. And as Muslims, we have to keep our hearts open when things like this happen. Like, just, you know, when the bigger platforms or the bigger social media people, I can't even get a name out, when these people don't use their platforms to promote one thing, or not even to promote, to like help on one thing, and something else happens very close, and it's just like, I don't know about that. It looks very shady when you look at because I mean, dog, we're black. For nothing, we're black. So when I look at that situation, I'm like, yo, like, what's the difference? You know what I'm saying? The biggest difference is that it's attached to us as Americans by association, that this guy, the attacker in New Zealand, was, you know, praising Donald Trump and white supremacy, right? Cool. But so many people around the world, so many Muslims around the world are being affected by people that are claiming that they're Muslim or they're Taliban or ISIS or whatever. And it's like, we're staying quiet about it. Like, I just don't get it. It's like we resigned to the fact that these terrorist groups are around. We're like, this is going to happen anyways. But with white supremacy, we're like, we need to change white supremacy. Like, yo, we're not going to change white supremacy. Let's be real about it. It's not going to change. So we still need to have this level of empathy that, like, our brothers and sisters of the world, of the Ummah, are just getting wiped out, and it's like nobody cares.
I mean, not only that, I think when everything happened in New Zealand, people are like, oh my goodness, this is a surprise, because New Zealand is seen as a peaceful state, you know? It's a peaceful area. This must be the first terrorism attack that has ever happened. Like, oh my God, how could that happen? New Zealand is such a peaceful country. But do we really know that? Like, have you done your research and looked at everything that's happened in New Zealand? Like, I personally do not know that, so I can't claim that. But then if something happens in Mali, it's like, oh man, that's typical. You know, like you have those individuals in there, you know, they're in there, they're terrorizing the area, and they've been doing that for a while. But the worst thing is that the guy that did what he did in New Zealand, he never claimed that he was Muslim. Then you have people in Mali that did what they did, and those people are claiming that they're Muslim. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, we need to go ahead and kind of put that fire ASAP. Like, yo, what happened in that community, that was not an act of Islam whatsoever. Yeah. You know, but we're quick to get on the train like, yo, let's try to stop white supremacy. No, we need to fix our community first.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Let's fix, because we can touch it with our hands. Like, it's right there, you know, and our kids need to see that in our next generation, because they're like, oh my God, I thought, you know, ISIS or Hamas, you know, in the Gaza region, whatever it is, like, I thought those people were Muslim. Like, they're talking Arabic, they're praying, they're reciting. Like,
you just hit a good point,
you know?
Mo. You just hit a great point. You know, the hadith goes, you know, if you see something wrong, first you got to put your hands on it. Yep. And then if that doesn't work, then you got to speak out against it. Yep. If that doesn't work, hate it in your heart. Yep. And I feel like people are trying to skip the first two steps and go straight to hate it in their heart. And they hate it in their heart for a little bit, and then you know, I did what I could. They posted on Instagram, I did what I could. Like, yo, we realize that these things, these black boxes that we all carry in our pockets, it's a media. It's a media company. These people that we look at and we scroll by and we like all the pictures.
Damn good one too.
These people, they're no better than us, and we all have the ability to share what is happening. Yep. Forget if they're not covering in the mainstream news. Forget if the biggest imam you know isn't covering it. You and we have to use our platforms that we have to share what is going on. Absolutely. So if you're outraged, like I was, especially yesterday, I'm glad we didn't record yesterday. If you're sad and you're tired of seeing, you know, stories go unnoticed, use your platform, use your phone, even if you just share it and one person's like, I had one of our good friends, Justin, he was like, whoa, I didn't know. Bro, I felt good about that. We went live and somebody was like, whoo, oh my God, my phone. You
almost lost your media.
Yeah, it's not, he was like, yeah, bro, like I had no clue. It's like, dog, people, this has been 2 days and nobody knows about hundreds of Muslims that just got killed. Yes. Massacred, like nobody knows, but like it was before, within 10 hours everybody knew about New Zealand, you know what I'm saying? So it's like our community has to do a better job of trying to help get out this information, because these people are going to need help. You gotta think about it. There's kids that don't have mothers, there's mothers that don't have anybody, there's fathers that don't have wives, that don't have kids. It's just like, yo, it's just crazy. And what's even crazier to think is, Mo, you're from Aswan, right? Yeah. In Aswan, you got entire families that live there.
Absolutely. Generation after generation.
So if somebody came there and did that, I might be missing everybody from my family. Everybody. Yeah. Or a good majority.
From a village, I mean, that's a small town. If somebody came and burned that whole village, I mean, that is detrimental to my family. You know what I mean? That is a bloodline gone, you know? So, yeah. But only that, bro, what you said earlier in regards to the media companies that, you know, somebody can prove me wrong, but I think back in the day, we used to follow what the media tells us. Like, we used to follow the media. Now the media follows us, you know, just because we have these phones. So it's like, you know, you speak about something like this, like they want to find those stories, you know, like those big outlets may not know. So that's why we have to do our job and provide the outlets that we have to kind of, you know, tell our story, tell a narrative. Because if we think it's important as an ummah, as a people, then they'll think it's important. But if we as Muslims don't think it's important, but make sure Fox News or anybody else is going to care about them. Like, okay, that was in Africa.
Yeah, exactly. That was in Africa. Yeah, I was going to Africa. Yeah, like, you know? Yeah, but it's crazy because this narrative of Africa, and I use that Chris Rock reference on purpose. It's like the narrative of Africa and the stereotype that we put on Africa is like, who wants to go there? Who would want to be there? Bro, Africa is one of the most beautiful continents, if not the most beautiful continent that we have been blessed with. First off, go and just leave that there. If you don't know, you don't know, right? Secondly, you're right. Secondly, you're right, Mo. Like we're the trendsetters. Yeah. Remember we said it. I forget which episode it was. It was like the young Muslim culture. Young Muslim culture. And I was like, we are the culture. We are the media. Yeah. Don't get it twisted, people. We are the media. Like they follow us and they look at our trends and what we tweet about and what we, share and stuff, and then they say, okay, this is newsworthy. You know what I'm saying? So like, we have to care. We have to care about our people. And this goes specifically to black people. Like, yo, if no one else is going to care, then we have to care. We have to care. Point blank.
I mean, you got to think about it because of what happened, previously. I hate to keep bringing up New Zealand, but because we cared about it so much, look at all the change that came from it in a positive way. I mean, they had the prime minister going up on national TV, starting off, just giving like the greetings of peace, and even dropping like some words from our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and even presented like the Jummah prayer. I mean, that was awesome. They even had like Bernie Sanders was out in, I think it was in California, talking about what happened. I mean, look at the impact that we have. So if we had the same energy for this in Mali, the same change can happen. They can actually have an investigation. But okay, what happened? Like, why have these attacks been happening since March of last year? I mean, that's a full year, and we're just hitting on it now, just like you were saying what's happening in China, like we're skipping over those things because I'm not saying because it's relevant, maybe doesn't hit the heart as hard as the previous attack did, but
Remember, a humanitarian issue is a humanitarian issue.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's similar to like what goes on here. Like, yo, how many people are still talking about Flint, Michigan?
Yeah.
People still don't got clean water. How many people talking about them?
But that scares me too, Jabril. I was thinking about that today in regards to the media. We're like, oh my God, like there's so much things going on. We're being desensitized. I mean, we're looking so out, like far outwards into Bay and to see what's going on, but we're missing what's going on
in our own
home, you know? So like, hopefully this doesn't come off the wrong way. Before you get really sad and kind of down about what's going on in the world, like see what's going on in your own home, like in your own community, like go and make sure your imam's okay, because I'm sure that they're going through a hard time right now just controlling the community, because like everybody is just, these past few weeks have been tough. I think this whole 2019 with everything going on, so check on your community first, because like we said earlier, that is what you can touch, right? You can put your hand on that. So if you can do that, go and put your hand on that.
Bro, like even, no, let's even go a little bit more outward. Okay. Like, yo, this weekend there was the March for Sudan, right?
Yeah.
How many people are like outraged about X, Y, and Z? This happened recently, right? Something like this was going on. The revolution in Sudan is serious. How much attention was the Arab Springs getting? You remember we were in college, that was going crazy.
We had teachers talking about the Arab Springs, doing assignments
for months. What's going on now? Granted, take this with a grain of salt, because one, we aren't in college anymore, and we're not in that same environment, so we don't know what they're talking about. But what is happening in Sudan is very serious. And there was a march. We had friends, and we've been sharing their content to help people get out to the march. And when we were looking at it, it was like, man, like something like this that's this serious with Sudan, which is a predominantly Muslim country, how many of the big names were out there? How many of them were actually trying to support what was going on? You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't feel like that issue mattered that much.
But not only that, Jabril, the people that came out to that march, a majority were Sudanese people. And somebody that asked me was like, why aren't we getting the coverage and support that we deserve? Is it because we're black? And I couldn't answer that. I was like, I really don't know. But think about it. When it came to the Arab Springs and they were having marches in D.C., especially in Egypt, we had people come from everywhere. We had like the Palestinians kind of supporting us. We had people from Israel. I mean, it was just nation just supporting us, just like left and right. It felt good, but something happened with the Sudanese, with the Sudan people, majority black nation. Then it's just like there is nobody to be found around.
It's like, yo, that's y'all problem.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, that's the Sudanese revolution. That's what's gonna stay with the Sudanese people. I wish y'all the best of luck.
Good luck.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but again, it's something that is home. It's home-based. Like, this is something in our backyard, you know what I'm saying, that we can put our hands on. We can speak out against what's going on, you know what I'm saying? But, like, we fall in this generation where it's like, yo, just share. Feel me? Damn, this is supposed to be a 5-minute podcast.
It's okay. I mean, that means that we can go in on this one. That means we can save our breath in the next episode.
But like, what we went live earlier today to kind of talk about, something very similar. What we're going to be doing over the next, like, week or so is trying to find the the best routes for us to be able to help and support the nations that have been greatly affected, specifically by the cyclone. So that's Mozambique, that's Malawi, and that's Zimbabwe. I was reading an article, don't quote me on it, but they said that the flooding is bigger than the size of New York, DC, Houston, and I believe LA all combined. That's huge. That is huge. So like it's bigger than all the major cities in the U.S.
And with a country like that,
I'm pretty sure Chicago is in there too somewhere.
That country is in a state of emergency. But not only that, like they said, they got 1 year of amount of rain in one day. But think about a nation like that. Do they really have an evacuation plan like we do here?
I mean, bro, I don't think there's any evacuation. That's an act of a God, bro. There's no evacuation plan.
But that's what I'm saying. So it's just like, how can you even recover from something like that when like the infrastructure isn't even built for something like that?
Bro,
you kind of see what I'm saying?
I mean, think about it. A year's worth of rain in 1-2 days. Like, bro, come on, bro. That's even if that happened here, we would be in the same exact predicament.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's why I was saying earlier, like we have to open up our hearts, regardless of what religion or where they live. It's like, dude, you see something like that, like that has to affect you in some way. Like we have to start letting things like this affect us, because at the end of the day, like we can't go numb to what is happening out here. And it shouldn't be an issue when it's just a Muslim, or if it's somebody that looks like you, or somebody that's from the United States, or somebody that kind of knows English. Like we can't let the similarities dictate whether it's important to us or not. That's the biggest thing, guys. So we're going to be going on our social medias, and we're going to because we don't want to just give love to one specific charity or link, we're going to make like posts, and it's going to have like all the charities that we've looked at, and they were like, yo, this was a good one, guys, go to this one. Like, don't be lazy, and if there's no link you can click, just blah, whatever. Like actually do some research, guys. Figure out how you can actually help. Something interesting that we found is that in a state of emergency, these disasters, when they happen, a lot of the money isn't needed until they're actually trying to go into recovery, when they're getting people and trying to give them temporary homes, or when they're trying to get them aid in terms of the necessities and toiletries and things like that. Like that's where a lot of the money needs to go. But we think like, oh, something happened, let's just send money. Sometimes it's important for us to send time, right? It's important for us to use our words. It's important for us to use, the other tools that we have. In this instance, it's just important that we start spreading the message, using, these little black boxes that we have in our pocket that we use every single day and that we're always on, to start spreading the message that there are people out there right now who really need the help, who are going through hell right now, and no one seems to care.
But not only that, I want us to have these conversations like in our communities too, like, have these conversations at home, have it with your community, because that's where everything starts, what I don't want is everybody just being so active socially and virtually, but they don't talk to their family about it. Excuse me. They don't talk to their community about it. I mean, we go to an event every Wednesday, and spiritual event, and when something happens, we like to talk about it. And inshallah, when this drops, it'll be Wednesday morning, we'll try and talk about that too. Because maybe some people just don't know, like Jabril talked about earlier. Maybe some people don't want to talk about it. But if somebody doesn't bring it up, then it's just going to linger and move on to next week, and then just be forgotten.
Well, it's interesting because like in the group, like last week we talked about what happened in New Zealand, and again, it does hit home differently. Like we're not comparing what happened in New Zealand to what happened in Mali or what's happening in Mozambique. You can't compare it because it's just different circumstances, right? It's different situations. Because what happened in New Zealand is more of a reality for us than what happened in Mali, right? It's more of a reality for us. So it hits a lot differently, right? However, we still need to be able to say, like, what happened over there is crazy, and how is it that we can help, though, our brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, yes, they're Muslim just like we're Muslim, and we want to give some attention to that. We want to help point blank. Like, forget that we can relate to.
I think that's the underlying factor.
Yeah, we just want to help, man.
Can help.
We just want to help, and we want there to be some attention on these brothers and sisters. The last thing that I want anybody listening to think is that we're like, oh, like you guys gave New Zealand, attention. Like nah, that's not exactly where we're coming at. That not in any shape or form or fashion. We just want us to open up our hearts, open up our availability and our attention to what else is going on in the world, because there's bad things happening to Muslims all over the world. People all over the world.
All over the world.
So we'll be putting out more information about that as time goes on, as we continue to do research, more facts and things like that.
Verify the reliable sources that we've seen, because we definitely want to check that out before we spread that out to you guys, our community.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, we don't want anybody to think like this is what the podcast is turning into, like this doom and gloom, and we just talk about sad things. But it's just like, we had to spread some light and some attention on it,
Yeah, I mean, we're doing what we can. I mean, the podcast is something that we can put our hands on, So that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah. Actually, Mo, you asked a good question, man. You asked me if you felt that people that have these platforms are responsible. They should be responsible to talk about these things.
Yep.
Let's talk about that a bit, man, because if we have a platform, right? Mm-hmm. Like our platform is different because we are making the conscious decision that morally, like this is what we got to do. Mm-hmm. As Muslims, like this is what is right. Right? Like we're making that decision to talk about this. But there are other people, other Muslims that have platforms that are like, that isn't what my platform is about.
Remember when going back to episode, what is it? I think 45 or 44 with Brother Tariq, he says something great. He was like, okay, when this goes into the archives and you become a pioneer and your kids listen to it and they're like, Dad, why didn't you speak about what happened in Mali? Instead, you were talking about sports, or you were talking about makeup, or you were talking about how you can pin your hijab. Like, why weren't you talking about that? Well, son, I didn't want to offend my followers. Well, son, I was making money. Well, son, daughter, that wasn't important at the time. Then I'm like, wow. And you had all this influence, and you could have really changed something, but you decided not to do that.
Yeah.
But on the other side, what I told Jibril, on the flip side of the coin, is that you really don't know what people do on the back end, right? Some people are just quiet movers, right? They may not post on the social media, but they may be the one that's volunteering, right?
Yeah, that's true.
They may be the one that is, appreciate it. They may be the one donating the money and kind of doing all that stuff, but legitimately, we just don't know.
You're exactly right, man. You're exactly right. I guess on the flip side of that, it's just that, like, as followers of these people that have these platforms, and we love to watch them,
you want to see them stand up because you support them for so long.
Exactly. This one sister said something interesting. She's like, these influencers, they've benefit off of our attention and us buying their products and us supporting them. But then when it comes to the issues that really are hurting us, their audience, is like they just like, I can't do that.
It's gonna hurt the bag, so they take the bag, the money bag, and they out.
So it's one of those things where it's like, you're more. It's an individual level. It becomes on an individual level,
But is it one of those things that because you have a platform, right, Jibril, and your platform has nothing to do with that, are you selective of what you talk about? Do you need to talk about everything? Like that's that fine line right there, right? That's that fine line that actually moves. I don't think that line is like a solid line. Like that line moves because, like, okay, well, I'm from this country. If something happens in my country, I'm gonna talk about it, but if it's not in my country, but at the end of the day, to make it simple, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask, like, what did you do with your time, right? Yeah. What did you do with your youth? Yeah. Why didn't you talk about that? So that's just, like I said, it's on a personal level at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's definitely on a personal level, man. And I think for us, like, because we're going to have to come to that. There's always going to be tragedy in the world, right? Like something's going to happen, and maybe somebody's going to be like, yo, why didn't you cover that? And it's going to be a tough answer, right? But I think it's all situational, because it's all about what we hear. Like this hit me in the face yesterday morning, right? Like there was no way I could escape from that. And I was like, dude, like this hurts. Like I'm hurting right now. Like we gotta talk about this, because we made that decision when we decided, you know, talk about
the commitment.
Yeah, we made that commitment, you know what I'm saying? And if we feel compelled enough, and if we see, you know, that the world is not talking about something that's just so crazy, and we're seeing that other platforms aren't really trying to recognize it, then that's something that we feel we should take on. You know, again, like what's happening in China, like we haven't spoke on that much or at all. Right now, should we be at fault for that? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's tough. Like it is very tough as a creator. It's tough as you know, as a media platform. It's tough as a Muslim, as a believer. Like, you know, like how do we talk about and cover all these different things that are going on, like without trying to exclude anybody? And you know, one is like, yo, we need you guys' help as well, because we don't get all this information. Like you gotta remember, we're people, so like we work regular jobs, and like we like to have fun, and and so, you know, we like
have
to
families, we have you know,
like we have lives and stuff too. So it's like there's a lot of, like, this world is big. However, you know, people say, oh, the world is small. Like no, like this world is huge. There's billions of us. You know, don't get it twisted. There's a lot of us.
You meet one person again for the first time in 2 years. Oh, small world.
Small world. So it's like, you know, we need help, like understanding like what's going on. And we, you know, for nothing, like even if we don't talk about on this specific podcast, we do a lot of stuff on our live calls on Instagram that people don't necessarily see, but we actually give a lot of attention to. So like what was happening with refugees in Serbia, like nobody, we didn't talk about that on the podcast, but if you watched us on the lives, like we talked about that, and it was attention that we want to give to. Was our audience begging for something like that? Not necessarily, but that was one brother who was doing something amazing, not even Muslim, and he was just like, hey, like I could really use you guys' help. He said $900 would pay for 3 months rent for him and his organization. $900.
Dude, I mean, you bring up a solid point, Jabril. Like if there's not something that we can do directly, what do we end up doing? We're like, hey, our platform is open. If there's something that you want to talk about, an issue that we may have missed, let us know. Hit us up. We'll get you on the live, and you go ahead and let us know what's going on. Inform us. You know, I think a lot of people are very selective about their platforms, you know, like they use it for one reason and one reason only, maybe multiple reasons, but what is that reason? To get that blue check box, right? To be verified. And then once they're verified, they're like, all right, bet. I'm taking pictures of myself and try to see how much clout that I can build. Like, how many people actually go on live with other people and talk about serious issues? Instead of going on live and they sitting down, sipping on shade, just chilling, like, you know, I'm not really trying to see that. I'm sure that's cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure that's cool.
They're cool people.
You know, they're chilling.
Cool people.
But it's like,
that's not our vibe.
Yeah, that's not our vibe. But it's like, man, there's a lot more things that you can talk about. And the worst is that they know. Like, I'm sure they're getting DMs like, hey, you should talk about this, but they're just blatantly ignoring, like, nah, I can't fade that.
You know,
now.
I've been seeing this thing where it was like, yo, people are using this fake renaissance of self-love to justify shutting out reality. And I feel that, you know, one, I just wanted to be known that we can't sit here and act like, you know, taking care of yourself and feeling yourself is not a big deal. It's a very big deal. I think that everybody should be confident who they are and what they are, and be like, yo, it's lit up in this body right here.
In the mind.
You know what I'm saying? I like where I am. Thank you, God. But it does come a point where your selfishness becomes, you know, toxic, in the sense that there's more than just what goes on in your little bubble, your own environment, you know, and we do have to acknowledge that, right? There's more than what happens between, you know, us and like work and like the stuff that we do. Like there's people that are like, for instance, what's going on in Sudan, right? Like I use that example because we actually went live with Ramaz, who is the same person who set up the march in DC. She was one of the organizers, and we talked to her like a month and a half before, almost 2 months before that even happened. So it was like, you know, we made that commitment without actually making the commitment that like that's what we're talking about. So in all, we want you guys to start, you know, really looking at what it is that you're sharing and that you're trying to achieve with these platforms. Because at the end of the day, we are going to be judged about what we use these platforms for. What do we use our voices for? If you're a believer in the afterlife and the day of judgment, then like that's what's going to come for us. Like if all you do is kind of post a little bit about yourself and what you do, then that's cool. Like that's dope. I respect it, but you can do a little bit more. And even just sharing something or reaching out to somebody, and even something simple saying, hey, like, I hope you have a good day. I hope everybody out there is having a good day today. Make sure you smile. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Hold on 1 second. Oh, what's this? Oh, I was tripping. I thought it was that. Don't edit this out.
Yeah, man. We if you guys are watching the YouTube video, we have a new location that we're trying out.
It's weird.
Don't know how long we'll be here, but
yeah. So far, this is not good.
Yeah. So please bear with the quality of the sound, but always try to bring you guys the best of the best, inshallah, every episode.
Yeah, we find ourselves a good little home. Is there anything else? We're going to do like a normal, no like tragedies in the midst, no guests, like just Muhammad and I podcast where we talk about some of our favorite creators that we've had encounters with recently, some music that we've been coming across, because I think there's been some.
Are we doing that now?
Nah, what? You want to do it now? No, there'll be another podcast. This one's going to come out today. It's late.
Yes, sir. Well, there was something that somebody did send me. Can I share this now?
Yeah, go. You might as well. I mean, yeah, I ain't going to vet you. Like, just share, bro. This is your podcast too, bro.
Hey, I want to be respectful of my man's time. So, we talked about this on one of the first few episodes about one of the sisters that had passed away in our community, Nabra Hassanan. There's a few things going on this week that we would love for you guys to join, or at least spread some recognition about. So. In June 2017, our community lost a daughter, sister, and friend, Nabra Hassanan. She was an extraordinary, lovable, and caring individual who brightened the lives of those around her, not only by her character, but by her smile as well. She also was very compassionate and was always willing to help others through their obstacles, alhamdulillah. So what they're doing is putting together a Nabra's Blessing Bag. It is an annual charity event that takes place on April 14th, in which members of the community come together on Nabra's birthday to package and distribute blessing bags to the less fortunate community of Washington, D.C. in remembrance of Nabra. Allah yarhamah, may she rest in peace. Last year, we had an amazing turnout, and we were able to collect enough donations to distribute about 500 blessing bags to the homeless community in Franklin Square Park. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Join us this year for the second annual event, which is scheduled to take place on Sunday, April 14th, 2019, inshallah. Don't forget, Sunday, April 14th, 2019. And when that comes closer, we'll definitely put a link out there. But to stay updated and to get more information, make sure you follow the Instagram page. It is at Nabra's Blessing Bags. That's Nabra's Blessings Bag.
Nabras
Blessing Bags. If you'd like to donate items or get more info and get involved, please contact everythingfornabra@gmail.com. Again, everythingfornabra@gmail.com. You can also donate and help with supplies by PayPal link that we will also post on our page when we also have those other links for what's going on in Mozambique and in Zimbabwe and Malawi as well as Mali. So that's just what it is. So,
and even if you want to support, New Zealand, because those survivors, the people that are survivors and the families affected, we'll have links posted up for them as well. So we had one up before, but we'll do it again. Again, all of these are very worthy causes that we want all of you guys to be involved with. More than anything, guys, it's about, as you get older, you start to understand that you don't want to become disconnected from your humanity. You don't want to become disconnected from the purpose that Allah created us for, right? Which is to love one another and to help one another. Absolutely. Right? But in a time like this, you just say, surely to Allah we belong, and to Allah we shall return, right? I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what happens. But we always want to protect ourselves. We always want to protect our neighbors, our brothers, our sisters, our families, and we always want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can while we're here. So, that's a little bit of encouragement for you guys to do your thing and
yeah.
Damn, Mo, you were supposed to back me up on that. Right, cool. This man just looking like blank.
That wasn't
dang, bro.
That was not a good layup or alley-oop. I don't know where he was going.
All right, I didn't have enough energy for that. My fault, bro. My fault. I didn't have the energy to come in and be like, woo. All right, so are we done? We're going to do another podcast. With like we said, like the shout outs like we usually do. It's gonna be lively. It's not gonna be 1 o'clock in the morning. Like it's gonna be a regular podcast.
We have a special guest
in the building.
Up. Very, 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 very special. Guys. But alhamdulillah, all of our guests have been special. This one is also
this one's
special.
And we letting y'all know that it's a she.
Oh yeah,
it is
our first.
It's our first female first
woman.
She'll be the first woman on the Young and Muslim podcast. And she is an incredible woman.
Right.
I can't wait for you guys to listen to this episode that's coming up because we're about to be dying. Like it's hilarious.
Oh man.
We haven't recorded yet. We're just like anticipating that it's gonna be hilarious.
Yeah. So we may give you a little sneak peek, but not on this episode. No.
So. Yep.
Oh,
it's in.
Let's get it.
Get it.
Wrap it up.
Boom, boom, boom. So for the last 45 minutes, you have been listening to the Young and Muslim podcast. I'm As-salaam.
And this is Muhammad Hassan.
And we greet you with the greens of peace.
As-salaam
Alaikum.
Goodbye.